Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's sports podcast. It's Friday, the 7th of January 2022. I'd like to wish you all a very happy new year. I'd also like to say to all the people who are suffering at the moment with COVID, I wish them a full and speedy recovery, and I hope you're back up and running as soon as possible, because quite a few people I know are suffering at the moment. So, get well soon. Without any further ado, let's get on with the news, because there's quite a lot to get through. In fact, there's lots and lots to get through this week. So we'll start with where we always do with the Premier League. And first of all, looking at last round of games, Manchester City's late victory at Arsenal. Some may say it was quite fortuitous in the circumstances. Has made them even more clear at the top of the table now. They're 10 points clear of Chelsea. Chelsea drawing 2-2 after being 2-0 down at home at Stamford Bridge on Sunday. They got back to 2-2. It was quite a good game. Very good to watch. The first half was significantly better than the second half, I would say, but it also meant that both teams lost ground on City. City now pulling away. Are in an ominous position, really. They were the favourites to start the season, and I wasn't sure exactly how they were going to go on without a centre forward, but they've managed pretty admirably, really. And they had a little bit of fortune, I'd say, on Saturday at Arsenal. There were no. It was no doubt down to some degree to Gabriel's stupid sending off, really. Second yellow card, one for scuffing the penalty spot. Irrespective of whether you agree with the decision or not, it wasn't a good idea to then commit a second offence in about 30 seconds later and get a second yellow card. He couldn't really argue about it. And I'm sure Arteta, who was isolating because of his COVID, was probably throwing stuff at the wall at home whilst communicating to his staff at the ground. So, and ultimately, I think that probably did cost them the game later on when City snatched it right at the end, 2-1. So. That's where we are at the moment with the top three. In the next pace down, West Ham had a good victory. They won 3-2 at Crystal Palace. That was an exciting game as well. They looked to be cruising towards until the end, but Palace pulled it back to 3-2 near the end, and they could even have snatched a draw. So I think they'll be quite relieved with West Ham in the end to win that game. And then obviously behind West Ham, we've got Spurs. They won 1-0 at Watford. Spurs, they're not really performing that great at the moment, and we'll come on to the performance in midweek in a moment in the Carabao Cup. But they're quietly going about the job. Conte seems to be getting the best out of what he's got, and a 1-0 win at Watford keeps them in fifth behind West Ham. In sixth, West Ham are fifth, Arsenal are fourth, actually. So they're there. And Manchester United have still remained seventh, even though they've lost to Wolves at home 1-0, a game which Wolves probably weren't outstanding, but they deserved to win the match. And they won 1-0 with a goal by Jean Martino on the 82nd minute. And they're 8th, so Man United are 7th and Wolves are 8th at the moment, so there's not a lot in there. At the bottom end of the table, good result for Leeds against Burnley. They've needed a win, they haven't won for ages, so they beat Burnley 3-1 at Elland Road on Sunday. They'll be sort of like feel a little bit less pressure now, I would have thought, after that result. Burnley are really under pressure now, and they look like they could be going to go down. I think a lot of people feel that Burnley will always find a way to get out, but I'm not sure this time. I think it's going to be between them, Newcastle, Norwich and Watford, looking at where the table stands at the moment. So they're the 4 teams struggling at the bottom. So yeah, a good result for Leeds, really. So that's where we are in terms of the Premier League at the moment. This week we'll take a break for the FA Cup, and I'll come on to that in a moment. But first I'll talk about the first leg of the Carabao Cup. Only one of the first semi-final first legs took place. The game between Arsenal and Liverpool, the first leg was cancelled because of COVID cases in the Liverpool camp. The assistant manager, I think it's Pep Linders, he took over on Sunday for the game at Chelsea because Jurgen Klopp was isolating, and now he's come down with COVID. I think they've got issues with goalkeepers as well as other players in the squad, and you've got people like Mane and Salah, and I think Keita's going away as well to the African Nations Cup Nations, which also starts this weekend, by the way. So the squad would have been stretched anyway. So their game was called off at Arsenal. The first leg's now at Anfield on next Thursday, the 13th, and the second leg's the following week on the 20th. But the game that did get played, Chelsea defeated Tottenham 2-0 at Stamford Bridge, and I've got to say they were lucky with Tottenham. It was only 2-0. Chelsea were very dominant in the first half. They wasted a few chances in the second half, and they could actually have conceded a goal to Tottenham late on, but luckily for Chelsea, they held on to the 2-0 lead, and the second leg of that game is next Wednesday, so we'll know at least one finalist hopefully by the middle of next week. So that's where we are with Carabao Cup. This weekend, we've got the FA Cup third round where all the big boys come in, and it's a chance at glory for the lower league teams. And the games are on ITV and BBC this weekend. The first game live on TV is tonight, and that's the Swindon Town versus Manchester City game, and that's on ITV. I think the kick-off's 8 o'clock. That's the first live TV game. The other live TV games I've got written down here. So we've got Millwall against Palace is on ITV tomorrow lunchtime, 1:15 kick-off. We've got Hull City against Everton. That's 5:30 on BBC. And then we've got Chelsea and Chesterfield available on the red button on BBC from 5:30 kick-off tomorrow as well. And Yeovil and Bournemouth is also on iPlayer, and that's from 5:45 kick-off tomorrow tea time, Saturday as well. Then on Sunday we've got a 2 o'clock kick-off on ITV, West Ham against Leeds, and they meet again in the league the week after at the London Stadium as well. Then Forest and Arsenal's a 5:10 ITV game, and then the final live TV game Monday night is Manchester United against Aston Villa, and the fourth round draw will be part of that programme, I believe, as well. So I didn't actually check that, so if anybody can tell me otherwise, just let me know, but I think it's on Monday night as it always used to be and always has been. So that's where we are with the FA Cup. Some shocks maybe on the card, so good luck to the non-league teams. Obviously Chesterfield are going to be up against it at Chelsea, unless they can come up with some kind of miracle, a bit like Bradford did a few years back. We've also got Kidderminster at home to Reading, and Bourne and Wood are still in as well, so they're the non-league representatives. And you've also got one other team whose name is Yeovil, obviously I've mentioned them, they're playing Bournemouth, so they're the other 3 National League teams. And then you've got one National League North team in Kidderminster. They're the ones that are still in it from the non-league. So good luck to all those teams, even Chesterfield, if you're watching Aidan. So, yeah, and then moving on now to the National League. And FC Halifax Town have a chance to go top of the league tomorrow if they can beat Eastleigh at home. They drew 1-1 in the BT Sport Live game on Monday afternoon. Some people argue we're slightly fortunate to get a draw in the end, having played quite well in the first half. We got bogged down in the second half, and it was all Grimsby. And it's hard to deny the fact that Jordan Maguire Drew's equaliser in added time was a fair reflection on the game, because he couldn't dispute that Grimsby deserved at least something out of the game. I thought we were poor in the second half, to be fair, but we'd gone ahead with a goal from Kean Spence in, I think it was like 54, 55 minutes, can't remember exactly. We started the second half anyway, more or less. But after that it was all Grimsby, and we were probably a little bit lucky to get away with a draw, but it's a good result for us, is that. And now with Chesterfield being in the FA Cup, and also Bourne and Wood in the FA Cup, and they would have been playing Wrexham. None of the teams around us are playing, so tomorrow's home game against Eastleigh gives us a good chance to get to the top spot. And we also have the rearranged Grimsby home match on Tuesday evening as well, at 7:45. I've been to get my friend a ticket today. We went to the ground, and so they're available today till 6 PM, and I think they're also available before the game tomorrow, and then that's it. So we had to go through proof of ID and everything we got there, because we don't want Grimsby fans in our end of the ground, so at least it's fair play to the club to make sure that people aren't getting in that shouldn't be getting in our end. So whether people find a way around it remains to be seen. But yeah, 2 big games for us, and hopefully we can get to the top of the table, maybe eke out a little bit of a lead, because Chesterfield will have games in hand. We'll have probably 2 or 3 games in hand on us after that. We've got 1 at the moment, so yeah, 2, maybe 3 actually. I don't know if they're playing midweek, I didn't look at the other fixtures. But Town are in a position to strengthen the points total and have the others chase after us, so we need to make the most of that opportunity. There's so few points. I think there's 7 points between the top 9 teams. Chesterfield have got 43, and I think the team in 9th have got 36. Wrexham are still in 3rd place, although they suffered defeat 3-1 at Notts County in the last round of games, so they won't be too pleased about that, and I'm sure their owners won't be too happy. Deadpool's going to be a bit upset again, no doubt, but hey, it's less tough at the top, isn't it, sometimes? Okay, so that's what's happening in the National League. Next we move on to cricket and the Ashes. Well, I'd say there's been a slight improvement, although we'd already lost the series. This game, I wasn't sure how this game was going to go. Australia declared on 416 for 8 in their first innings. A century from Usman Khawaja being the main focal point of their innings, and the 5-wicket haul for Stuart Broad was the main thing for England, so that's good for him. I think he said it was 19th, his 19th 5-wicket haul, so well played to Stuart Broad. They bowled really well. Mark Wood was unlucky, I think he got 1 or 2 wickets, but he bowled really, really well. But 416 for 8. England battered at the end of the day, this gone, which was the 3rd day. Again, delayed by rain. It's that day. England are 258 for 7. And Johnny Bairstow still there, is unbeaten on 103. Good contribution also from Ben Stokes. He scored 66, and Mark Wood contributed with 39 to cover my really. We lost 4 early wickets. Joe Root was out for a duck on his 2nd ball, so not great for him. But at least we're putting up some fight in this game, and hopefully we can come out of it with at least a draw. But the weather may have something to say about it anyway. Even if we don't perform that well over the rest of the match, it may well be that we get a draw anyway because of the weather. In South Africa have drawn level in their test series with India. It's now 1 match apiece going to the 3rd game, which starts on Tuesday the 11th. They chased down a target of, I think, 240. for the loss of just 3 wickets. Dean Elgar was a 96 not out at the end, so he was the main man that got them to their total. So well done to South Africa, pulling level, and it's all to play for in the third test, and we'll give you an update on that third and final game in next Friday's podcast. Okay, now we're going to move on to NFL, and there's plenty to talk about in NFL, so I'm going to get my notes in front of me here because I need to read all this because there's quite a lot. One of the main talking points last weekend's games was the fact that Antonio Brown quit during the game when he were playing for the Buccaneers. They did win, but he basically took his kit off and threw it on the pitch and waved to the crowd and walked down the tunnel in the third quarter, and that was it. And the club have come out since and said that he's no longer a Buccaneers player, so sad way to end. He's obviously been a great player for them, but there are quite clearly issues behind the scenes there which will come out in fullness of time, no doubt. But it's a shame to see him go, but they didn't stop Tom Brady having a match-winning performance, really. I think I saw a stat saying it's the 12th match in a row when he's played against a rookie quarterback opponent where he's won, so no real surprise there of his record. Coming round to what happened in last weekend's rounds of games and how it affects this final weekend. Well, the Packers guaranteed the number 1 seeding for the playoffs with a 37-10 win over the Vikings. The Cardinals kept their divisional title hopes alive with a narrow 25-22 victory over the Cowboys, who now have dropped down to the 4th seeded spot in their playoff hopes. So their playoffs have taken a bit of a dent there. The Chargers beat the Broncos by 34-13. And they need to win the last game this week in Week 18 to have a chance of a wild card. Now, on the same note, the Raiders also beat the Colts by 23 points to 20, and they need to win their last match as well for a wild card. The only problem is they're playing against the Chargers, so it's a winner-takes-all game. Chargers versus Raiders, and that's the Sunday night football game this weekend. So that's probably the one to watch this weekend. I aren't going to run through the rest of the game, but that's the one if you're really interested to keep an eye on, I'd say. The Saints beat the Panthers by 18 points to 10 to keep their playoff hopes alive as well. And the Bengals won the AFC North title. They beat the Chiefs 34-31. The Chiefs have already qualified for the playoffs, of course. And the Titans hammered the Dolphins by 34-3, and they've won the AFC South title. So well done to the Titans and the Bengals there. The Patriots absolutely battered the Jags 50 points to 10, and they're secured their playoff place now. And the Bills have also got their playoff place clinched. They beat the Falcons by 29 points to 15. The Eagles, they clinched a wild card spot. They beat Washington football team by 20 points to 16. And that's about it, really. That's around what happened last week, but now that's what's happening in the playoff picture. So this Sunday, I think the main thing to watch out for is that game between the Raiders and Chargers, the late game in the UK, and Sunday Night Football in the USA. So I'll give you a full round of who's qualified and who hasn't next weekend, and obviously the playoff games start then on a Saturday evening. I think they normally play Saturday and Sunday evening in the playoff games, but we'll have more details on that next week. The only other thing I really want to mention now is the tennis, which starts I think a week on Monday in Australia, and there's a bit of controversy surrounding Novak Djokovic. I'm not going to go into the details of what I think's right and what's wrong, but at the moment he's been thrown out of Australia. He's going to take part in the tournament based on a vaccine exemption, but basically that's outside the Australian rules. So the Prime Minister said you can't make rules just for one sportsman. It's his choice, as Rafa Nadal said in his interview. It's his prerogative, his choice to do what he wants to do, but there will be consequences, is what he said, and I think that's how many of the players feel. 95 out of the top 100 players have been vaccinated, there's just 5 that haven't. So it's his choice, like I say, he's entitled to his opinion. Whether I agree with that or not, I'm not going to go into here because I don't have politics on this channel. It's about sport. Sport and politics don't mix. So there we go. So anyway, I'd just like to say thanks for watching as always, and thank you for your continued support. The viewer numbers are always encouraging. If there's anything else you'd like to see added to the podcast or any comments you want to make down below, please feel free to add them. I enjoy doing this. I hope you enjoy watching, listening, and if you're not feeling so well, hopefully this might help cheer you up a little bit, and hope, like I say, you're all feeling 100% again soon if you're unwell. So that's it for now. We're back with a roundup of the FA Cup games next week. I think there is some Premier League games possibly during the week next week. I think some games are being rearranged. I think Everton might be playing Leicester on Tuesday night, and I think it's on Sky. So just check your listings for that. But otherwise, yeah, that's it for now. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all again next Friday.